Was a long week, wasn't it? Interesting things happening in the markets, the banking system starting to look a bit shaky. Fascinating. Good time to be alive, good time to be interested in finance. So we discussed how to optimize portfolios, and I showed you several ways to do that. One was just by brute force, so-called brute force, where we just loop through different portfolio weights. Another one was using an optimizer. And I think the home fun was to basically build a portfolio. And I told you to build a portfolio with negative weights, and you interpreted it as just negative weights. But what I actually meant was positive and negative weights. So I didn't quite explain myself well enough, which is okay. So what I'll do today is I'll talk you through again and basically give you the rationale why I said negative weights. And then interesting thing is also to sort of get an understanding of what we can do with this. Because basically the idea is when you have positive weights, all that means is all the assets in your portfolio are long. You basically pay money for them and you buy them. But when you go with positive and negative weights, what that basically means is you can allow in the assets in your portfolio to be short. So you allow short selling in your portfolio. And what that means is if you have assets that you expect to go down a lot, you can make money with them. If your portfolio weighting is ideal, but it's long only, if it sees assets that have a really strong downward slope, you basically weight them zero and then they don't do anything. But if you see them going really down, then you can make money with the ones that you expect to go up, and you can make money with the ones that you expect to go down, which is really great, and that can actually add quite a bit of juice to your portfolio. So that's why I talk about negative weights, but what that actually means is usually positive and negative weights. It's very rare or almost non-existent that you just use negative weight. I mean, there are short sellers in the market that are mainly short, but that's not normally something you do in quantitative trading, or at least it's not common, put it that way. So let's just have a quick look at what you've done here. And I can see that you made this weight negative, basically saying, oh yeah, we got negative weights. So that's not quite how I meant it. And then here, the Sharpe ratio, you turned it positive, but that needs to stay negative actually, because we still minimize. So we're coming back to this. And then in this thing here, what we're basically saying is when we do sum W minus 1, I told you we have this equation, the sum of all weights should equate to 1. And then we're basically changing this. We're saying the sum of all weights minus 1 equals 0. And this is what goes then into this equation here. And so it's an equality. And the equality that we define here with this constraint always ends up being 0. So this expression should equate to 0. That's why we have this minus 1 in there. But actually, if we want to allow negative weights, what we should really do is allow this here in those bounds. That's why we do it. So what we actually do is we just go negative 1 here. Yeah. So negative 1, negative 1, and negative 1, right? Mm-hmm. And then normally the upper bounds, we don't necessarily want to go much higher than 1 with those as well. So we just say, okay, they're 1. Yeah. So that way we can actually ensure that, our portfolio is calculated with positive and negative weights. And what we then do with this is we ensure that even though we have negative weights, it always in the end equates to 1. The interesting thing with that is that, even if we have negative weights, we're still having a net positive weighting. So we're always putting a certain amount of cash into our portfolio. But what we can do is also, we could actually say, oh, we want to be cash neutral.